What's up, guys? James Miller here, coming at you with another episode of the Seattle Mariners Save. Now, I'm coming live from you on April 1st, April Fool's Day, and we did have an April Fool. So, if you look at Brian Wu real quick, he did have number 20. He had number 2 for some reason. I said, that's weird. We have no one named number 22 on our roster anywhere, but it ended up being Clayton Kershaw, torn UCL out. And this is something I didn't talk about. We have 2 extra starting pitchers and 2 extra guys that are on long-term injuries here just as extra depth to be reinforcements later in the year. Plus, we have Tyler Holton coming back. Regardless, I'll get to that in a minute. But without further ado, let's talk about our starting lineup for this year for the Seattle Mariners. Starting off at the top of the rotation, turns out I accidentally optioned him. I did not give him a rehab start assignment to the minor leagues. I don't know how I messed that up. I don't think I messed that up, but it's the situation that we're in now, and that's what we're going to have to deal with. He's coming off of his best season yet. He finally eclipsed the 130 innings, 140, 150, and 160 innings pitched mark. If he can get 150 innings for us this year and stay healthy the entire year, that will be a positive season because 3.5 WAR is absolutely what we're looking for. We're looking for a guy who can get us 150 innings at 25% better than average. So that's all we're asking for him. Be a solid start of the rotation guy. To mitigate his pitches, we put him on a pitch count of 90 pitches just so he's not going as deep in games because I think with this bullpen that we have, we should be able to take care of business when he starts. If we can get 5 to 6 innings out of him, sometimes 4, sometimes 7, it's going to be perfect. But I don't want him pitching deep into games because I'd rather him pitch deep into the season. Second pitcher now, Zach Gallen, our most recent notable addition this offseason. Next 2 years, he's going to be making relatively no money. We're pretty happy about it. The milkman here is going to be our number 2 in our rotation. Overall, looks to be a perfectly adequate pitcher. In Arizona, the last 2 years, he's done pretty good. He has dropped off with the ERA plus, but if, again, we can get 165 innings of him at league value, league minimum for ERA, that's exactly what we want. Also, if I'm not mistaken, Arizona is a little bit more of a hitter-friendly park, so I think he's going to transition really well to being a full-time pitcher here, and we might look to extend him, but we're not looking great for extensions, which is why we went and got him in the first place. If you guys remember, we went ahead and traded Felnine, Castro, Luis Castillo, Connor McCullough, Brooks Lee, Williams, Rodriguez, and $1 million. Brooks Lee right now is about the only guy I'm truly missing from that trade. That might be the only guy that I truly regret getting rid of, but we'll have to see how this trade plays out. It gets us a lot of cap room for the next few years. It got us younger at starting pitcher, and ultimately, I think it was a relatively even trade considering the financial straits that we were in. Third guy up is Bryce Miller. He is, again, all we're asking for is that 4 ERA, 160-ish innings pitched to a pretty decent clip. If we get this again from him, we're going to be very happy. Next year, he starts getting a little bit more expensive, but a maximum of $8 million, $10 million, $12 million. He's going to be a guy who we keep around probably throughout the entirety of this contract until the options. So just need him to keep doing what he's been doing. Trade acquisition, Spencer Schwallenbeck. He's a guy that's got 3+ pitches, 2 more can potentially grow. He switched to Boston and immediately kind of started his breakout season. Got up to 140 innings pitched last year. When he was with Atlanta, he was an average pitcher, switched to Boston, turned it up a notch. Hoping to get a little bit more of the Boston era Spencer Schwellenbach, but not going to be upset if we get anything less than that. We signed him to a longer term extension. He's cheap this year. He gets up to about $10 million. So he's a guy who hopefully we can either flip really easily or just does a darn good job for us and we can keep him long term. And then finally, Cade Horton, probably the guy who had the biggest dev boost. If we look He improved his secondary pitches. He had a giant scout upgrade, which let's go ahead and actually look at that scouting report. He kind of put it together, it seems like, this offseason where if we look, his potential jumped a little bit. His potential control jumped in August. In February, his stamina improved and his potential rating improved as well. So Cade Horton, who, as you guys know, we traded. Who did we trade for? We trade Stephen Kolek to get both him and Nico Horner. So I think we upgraded in terms of getting a really good pitcher. And I think it's a mutually beneficial trade. Nico Horner helped get us a World Series, was that valuable right-handed bat. Plus, Cade Horton looked to be a starting pitcher of the future. And I might be handing out too many of these contracts, but we got him locked in for 6 years at $40 million. We'll look at the contract situation after I finish going through all the stuff, but that's our top 5 of the rotation. Our 6th and 7th guys are both lefties, which is something that I haven't been able to say. Our 6th guy is hurt right now, but we'll talk about our 7th guy, Aaron Ashby, who looks to be as good of a guy as you want. He's got 4+ pitches, a 5th pitch there as well, an extreme ground baller pitcher type. So he's going to make them put the ball in play. We have an adequate defense. He's pitched very average. This is going to just be a good swing man to have out of the bullpen. Right now, the Brewers are holding on to half of his contract, and we'll definitely keep him for the next 2 years, but that team option of $13 million will probably not be exercised. But ultimately, we're hoping that he can just eat some innings for us, be a Chad innings eater, as the likes of Jolly Olive and the John Boy Media Group like to say. But we have a little bit of a shakeup in our bullpen this year. Number one, we have Mason Miller being our big man out of the bullpen. He's going to start getting some serious money. Would probably opt into that $10 million deal. Might opt out of that $16 million deal just to save a little bit of money, but we'll for sure have him for the next 3 years. I think he's earned his spot at the back of the closer role, just because he has done so good. He was the reliever of the year last year. Andres Munoz was struggling in the playoffs, so decided to flip them 2 around. Felix Bautista is going to be our stopper guy again, our super stopper. We're paying him $5 million this year. We're for sure opting out of that $17 million. It's only like $3-4 million and some change to get out of this deal. So overall, it's going to be a $9 million contract. That's fine with me, but I'm not going to be able to pay him $17 million. And he may be a guy that we decide to flip if he's doing really well or not doing well, whatever. We're not afraid to flip him. But he was a guy who gave up, I want to say, like 2 earned runs for us last year. So he was a guy we had to bring back. Andres Munoz, again, he lost his closer role, $8 million so far. He's in the last 2 years of his deal. We may opt out of it. We may look to negotiate an extension. Yeah, he wants $24 million. We may opt into it just to keep him on for 1 more year. And we may try and flip him sometime this year just to start trading out the end of the bullpen. Because we also have guys like Jeremiah Estrada, who, even though doesn't look on paper like he did that great, he pitched 31 games, 31 innings, 2 ERA, almost 100% better than league average, and we have him on a very team-friendly deal for the next 5 years. This is a guy who's going to be pitching probably at least the next 2 to 3. If he falls off the face of the earth like Clevenger did last year for us, we'll move on from him, but this is a guy that it's not a lot of money to eat. $11.5 million total with a guy who has the stuff that he does. I think it's a no-brainer. AJ Minter, we decided to bring back. Number one, a decreasing value deal. Number 2, he is a good middle reliever. Number 3, I feel like this is the team of Aggies because we have AJ Minter, we have Bryce Miller, and I think we had one other Aggie last year, but I'm not 100% sure. We needed to bring in Michael Waka and God, what's his name? Stephen Kolek was actually the guy who was an Aggie. But he didn't do too hot with us. And then Brandon Garcia is also an Aggie. So if you guys can't tell, I am a Texas A&M alumni. So think less of me, think more of me. Just understand that I understand how bad being an Aggie fan is because it's terrible. Anyways, Matt Brash is back again in the middle relief role. He's going to be great for us. We might start opting out once he gets up to that $6 million figure because $6 million for a middle reliever. It might be time for us to start letting some of our prospects come in and pitch rather than these established veterans. Nathan Lavender, I think someone called me out on calling him Levander. That's not an E. That's not an A. It's Lavender. But yeah, we ended up calling him up. He looks like he's already a potential established big leaguer, lefty specialist. We're going to have him more in a protected long relief mop-up role just to make sure that we keep him because getting him out of a Rule 5 draft pick is awesome. A lot of these opener and closer roles are going to be changed over real quick. Yeah, and then last is Keegan Akin. This is just our lefty specialist we can't quit. Probably going to opt into his $3.2 million deal. Claimed him off of waivers, and he hasn't looked back. He's been every single aspect of what you'd want in a lefty specialist. Earned him an all-star nod in 2025 for it as well. So happy to have this awesome stacked bullpen. And also looking at it, we need to change Cade Horton's number. I don't like single-digit pitchers. I like my pitchers in the 30s and 40s. And if he wants number 9, I think 49 is a good number for him. What do y'all think? Anyways, that is going to be our team. Mason Miller, hopefully he just absolutely balls out again for us. Hopefully we can have healthy years from Brian Wu. And hopefully we can see Spencer, Bryce, Zach, and Cade step up and step into these big roles. Cade Horton obviously is the number 5 man. He can slot into a reliever role very, very easily. So when Cole Reagans gets back, which is probably who we should talk about next, when Cole Reagans gets back, he's probably going to be the guy to get removed. He's still ARB eligible. Looking for a little bit more than his arbitration estimate. How many years of arbitration does he have? He has 1 more year of arbitration if he wants his long-term. And we are going to go ahead and offer him this contract for the next little bit. We're going to see if we can get Cole Reagans locked up slightly longer term. If he's going to come in at $9.5 million, I think number 1, this is going to be one of those easily guaranteed, easily like a 3-year deal, a 5-year deal for $44 million. Yeah, that's absolutely one that we can bring in. We need that lefty at the top of the rotation. That's super funny. Tyler Holton is a guy on the wrong side of 30. We have him locked up for 2 more years. He may be a guy who we unfortunately have to move up on from. He's pretty decent still. He hasn't lost a lot of ratings. He's a good middle reliever. But, man, that trade with Detroit, we just kind of got their scraps and they didn't do too hot. So, also, Jose Alvarado, I'm going to show you guys this contract. It is essentially a $3 million deal, or $2.2 million deal for him to get healthy this year. I don't think he's going to be good anytime this year. If he is, that's going to be awesome. We have an established guy who's been here. Looking at it, I mean, he's done pretty all right. His ratings haven't decreased yet. He'd be a good lefty specialist guy who's been in a saver role, a closer role. So if we can keep him for next year at $1 million, I think that's a great trade or a great value proposition. So now after all that yapping, let's go look at our lineups. This year is going to be interesting because we have a lot of turnover that has happened and is going to happen. This is our last year with Masataka Yoshida. This year, he's making 18.6. Half of it's being retained. He wants an extension. He already has $22.8 million. This has gone down from where it was earlier at $26 million. Not looking to do that. He might be a trade deadline piece, but it's going to be his last hurrah. We have Julio Rodriguez, who I hope he just has half as good of a year as he did last year, because that would still put him at 4.8 WAR or something stupid like that. If he can just keep it together, we're going to absolutely be super happy with that. Alec Burleson is an interesting guy. He's a mercenary bat that also is arbitration eligible after this year. Signed him for $1.15 million. I just thought that I liked the bat. If the bat turns out to be good, he might be a Masataka Yoshida replacement for next year, a lefty DH just to get on base. Looking at his ratings, he absolutely rakes against right-handed pitchers. He's going to put the ball in play, a little bit of gap power, or a little bit of power. Apparently can also pitch. That's cool. Didn't see that happening. Probably not going to happen, but he may be our designated, hey, we're getting blown out. He's going to be our position player who can do both. So that's something to note. Cal Riley is going to split time at catcher this year. I meant to train him up at first base, but I never did, so he may learn on the fly. But also that kind of went out the window whenever we brought in Vinny Pasquantino. Vinny Pasquantino also has a pretty nice contract here of $5 million, $7 million. We can opt out after 2 years. Not 100% sure if we offered him this contract, but having this kind of a bat right in the middle of the order, a guy who's going to not strike out a lot, hit the ball into the gap, hit the ball for some power, going to be pretty average all the way around with pretty decent first base ratings, I'm pretty happy about. I'm happy to have Vinny Pasquantino here. Harry Ford, it's kind of now or never for him. He's not really on that expensive of a deal, but it's time for him to start getting the spotlight. If we look at, and let me just generate this. Harry Ford's playing every third game. Harry Ford probably needs to start playing a lot more everywhere. In fact, he might end up playing left field more likely than not, or catcher more likely than not. Just a guy who I want to get more involved because, I mean, look at this rating. He's going to get on base. He's going to get hits. His power's finally getting tapped into. He kills left-handed pitching. He's average against right-handed pitching. Man can literally play everywhere on the field minus shortstop at an average to above average level. Well, second base, he leaves a little bit more to be desired, but he's a guy who we can get into the lineup every single day and be good with. Franklin Arias ends up winning the job out of camp. He was a guy who we ended up trading for from Boston. I don't think he's going to hit. I think he's going to be all right as a everyday shortstop, but he's just here to play shortstop. That is it. Might be a guy we even move on from just because he's not ready, but he's kind of the option that we have. Again, why I'm a little bit upset I traded Brooks Lee. Cole Young, this guy is poised to have a breakout this year. Every single aspect of his ratings improved. Like let's go look at his scouting. Every single aspect of his ratings improved over this last year. From September of 2026, well, really since July of 2026, he has been on a large upswing. Everything's been going up. 23-year-old second baseman playing for the Seattle Mariners. Opposing pitchers hate him because he loves to work deep into the count and draw walks. He has good batting instincts. Grades out as a plus defender. Wow. Like, this is huge. Look at all this plus. Look at all of that plus. Look at all of that plus. That is insane. Cole Young is a star in the making. Can play third base, can play shortstop, can play everywhere in the infield. So this is a guy who we're building around. He's going to grade out. He's going to be making $16 million at the peak of his contract, but he is a long-term guy for our team. Ryan Bliss, we just can't quit you. Got him in the Rule 5 draft. Played all of last year in AAA. Did all right. He's going to be kind of our break glass in case of emergency, plays third base, shortstop, second base. Yeah, Tavian Josenberger, whatever his name is, also could potentially play on the infield pretty decently as well. So we might get him trained up at third base as well. But he's another Rule 5 draft pick. Absolutely electric in the outfield. 70 range, can play a decent center field. He's going to be starting off in left field for us, but I think he's going to end up platooning that with Harry Ford. In fact, I am going to slot Harry Ford in left field against lefties just to make sure that he's getting some playing time. Kyle Tucker, batting 2-hole for us. We're dropping him a little bit in the order just because we need to get him a little bit more opportunities of hitting with people in front of him. Looking at it, he had 119 runs scored, but if he would have had people in front of him, his RBIs probably would have been around that 90 to 100 mark. But whenever you're hitting leadoff, you only have so many opportunities to do so. So dropped him back 1 in the order. Just with this lineup, you can't really get him in there. And in fact, we're going to switch Rafael Devers and Cal Riley because if anything from last year's proven to be true, we just need Harry Ford in the lineup more often than not. So that was our actual pitching lineup or hitting lineups. And something I want to note this year that I think I did a little bit better of a job of is we actually have some depth. So looking over here, we have Lazaro Montez, who can come up in the outfield. He just hasn't put it fully together. He might end up being trade bait. We don't know. Marcelo Perez, he was a guy that we ended up trading to the Boston Red Sox and then trading back from. That I found that funny. Jonathan India is on a minor league contract. We may call him up just to give us some help if our shortstop situation doesn't work out. Carlos Vargas pitched for us last year, did all right, just no room for him. Luis Arias, big contact bat that's going to start in the minor leagues, might be trade bait, might be on the team, who knows. Brian Rincon, he is so close to being on the team. I just think that he has a better chance of developing than the guy who we currently have at shortstop right now. So I want to give him a chance to develop just a little bit more before calling him up. He is our backup shortstop and starting shortstop probably come May. Ben Williamson, another guy, I think we claimed him off of waivers because he can play a little bit of shortstop. He just doesn't quite have the arm for it. Might end up actually looking at it. I think I'm going to call him up over the shortstop that we have there. Where is our shortstop? Yeah, Franklin Arias is actually going to come down, and Ben Williamson is going to come up. Ben Williamson is going to play our shortstop, and he is going to start for us. I think that makes a lot more sense, don't you guys? And let's just go ahead and change his position, set position to shortstop. Does that change his ratings at all? He's a 38. He'll be all right. He's still going to learn the position a little bit on the fly. That was kind of a backup guy that ends up being a smarter play for us. And then we also have a couple of other guys who are almost ready to go, like this Josh guy. He looks like he's going to be decent. Emerson Hancock, Brendan McKay. We are so stacked this year with having adequate replacements rather than last year where it was kind of our front line that, thank God, didn't see too many injuries that we were able to make it through. So, yeah, I don't know how we were able to make it last year, but we did. This year, we also have, if you've noticed, a lot of guys right here in AA who are almost ready to make the jump to AAA. So we have Dean Livingston, who's been one of our highest guys in terms of pedigree. He had a little bit of a down year last year in high A, but I'm deciding to move him on to AA this year just because I needed to get him out of high A because for some reason high A is where pitchers go to die. Same with Patrick Forbes. He had a little bit of a down year, but he's been looking phenomenal in terms of his growth over the offseason. So I'm starting both of them out in Double A. Christian Little was a guy who started in rookie ball last year, but if we look at his ratings relative to the Texas League, he's already can hold his own there. So we're just giving him a chance there as well. Easton Carmichael had a pretty decent growth opportunity this year with the Dev Lab. He's not a bat that's going to be crazy, but he is a decent catcher, and I think he's going to be a guy to look at. He did great all last year. He raked in Modesto. He raked in High A, so why not call him up? Merrick Houston as well is another guy who's going kind of putting it together. I mean, this guy's going to be an outstanding shortstop. He just needs a little bit more time at Double A to figure it out. 45 games last year. He wasn't the greatest, but we're going to see what he can do. Again, he was our top draft choice. His bat looks like it's going to leave a little bit to be desired, but he made the rise last year all the way from Single A to Double A. Let's hope that he can put it together and get all the way a little bit higher now. Joey V ended up having an awesome dev boost in the development lab, and let me see where it is. I thought he did. Well, I'm pretty sure he did. Let's look at scouting. So, lots of negatives, but in February, overall rating improves, potential stuff dropped, lots of stopped draft. Interesting. He's been losing a lot of potential, but this is a guy who I know has been doing pretty good in terms of his development. If he can just kind of stay at that 50 range, he's going to do good. It's a matter of his control for him. If not, he's already going to be a awesome reliever for us. So he's a guy who I don't care if he works out or not. He's already going to work out. We're going to make it work. This is another guy. He's starting in High A. Let me disable his AI promotion and demotion. Nolan Sparks, he looks like he could potentially make it up to AAA this year if he puts it together. Jonathan Kim, he's a guy who is absolutely raked in A ball last year. I'm hoping he makes the jump from High A to Double A this year. Same as Ethan Moore. Ethan Moore probably not going to grade out as a shortstop, but looks like he's going to be really good for us in the long term. A couple more guys to look at. Nestor Cafe. He looks like he's going to be an awesome bullpen guy for us. Potentially, if we can stretch out his stamina and get those other pitches, he might end up being a starter for us. So who knows? Chris Arroyo looks to be a little bit of a bust. As a pitcher and as a hitter, he's just hasn't been it. On top of that, we have a couple of other guys. Who is this guy? So we're going to put him in A-ball. We have a couple of our high school guys here at the top who just have not had any time yet in the minors at all, which both of those guys are actually going to go to A-ball as well because they're already 20-something and have the potential for it. Yeah, we're going to do that. So these 19-year-olds and stuff can have time. I'm going to go ahead and have that go through as well just to see if there's anyone else that's going up or not. And then these are the two guys that we're going to make sure that we keep a very, 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 very close eye on. We have Daniel Lomé, as you know, was named Luis Lomelli, with the name Big Dan. I decided to switch his name to Daniel. If that rubs you the wrong way, you'll be all right. It's my save. It's not like I got into commissioner mode and made him an immediate star at 17 years old. I just changed a made-up person's name. Also, we got Mr. Klondike here, Ramon Romero. Ramon Romero, who is our first international free agent signing. And we also have Alex Torres, who looks like he's going to be an absolutely astounding reliever. This is a guy who, lefty, we are going to rush him up as soon as he seems ready. At 18 years old, he apparently already is 25 25 overall, so he's a guy who has a really good chance of moving up and moving up quickly. But overall, that's where we stand on opening day. That was a long rant. That was a long process. You guys will see me whenever major transaction happens or I make a trade. You guys know the deal at this point. I'll see you later. Something that I meant to talk about before I went and I did not talk about is our salary situation. So looking here at the bottom, we are going to have a large increase from 167.5 million to 215 million to 233, 231 million. And I'm just trying to grasp where the heck is all of that money coming from. So we're going to go here to this third option. Kyle Riley is going to get expensive and Kyle Tucker is going to get expensive. Brian Wu is going to get expensive. And then there's a couple of team options of some expensive players as well. Cole Young's going to start getting a little bit expensive as well. So in 2029 is really whenever we're going to have to shed about $30 million in salary. And that's going to be hard to do. The easy choice is Kyle Tucker. Hey, wrong side of 30. He might opt out after that year and make it a little bit easier for us. But it might be a time that we move on from a Bryce Miller or a Spencer Schwellenbach, or probably more likely than not a Mason Miller and a Vinny Pasquantino, potentially Brian Wu. This is going to be difficult, which is kind of why I was saying, hey, this year and next year are kind of last hurrahs. You know, we have... Oh, I completely forgot to tell you about this trade potentially. Let's look at this trade. I traded away Pablo Lopez, and I don't remember if and when I told you I did this. That's right, I absolutely did. I traded away Pablo Lopez, retaining the entirety or most of his contract, with Dylan Moore and Cole Phillips, two pretty adequate players, for this guy, Nolan Sparks. So, again, I like his peripherals. I think he's going to be a very, very, very average player. Great personality, great all the way around, never pitched above high A and hasn't pitched well when he has pitched in high A. So he's a guy who needs to put it together and put it together quick. But it was a way to clear up a roster spot for Brian Wu. And to get a little bit out of it is, I think, really good. But if it ends up being a nothing trade, it ends up being a nothing trade. Anyways, we definitely need to potentially figure out some things when it comes to finances. That's going to be the hardest part of this team, is because the prospects who we had were so good. I already extended them and they're starting to get expensive all at the same time, which is why we can see in the next 2 years, 2029 and 2030, we are going to have $233 million of expected payroll that we're going to have to somehow shed, and might be coming from a Vinny Pasquantino and Aaron Ashby. Aaron Ashby's gone. Bryce Miller move on from, or let's just look at 2029. I mean, Kyle Tucker enters his most expensive part of the contract. Cal Riley might be moved on from to get more playing time for a young Harry Ford. And that's going to be hard for Seattle fans to bear, because he has been so good for us for so many years. But without further ado, you guys will see me next time that there's a major transaction, or in our case, injury news. At the end of the month of April, your Seattle Mariners are 12-13. I knew there was going to be a step back in terms of offense this year, but I did not anticipate this bad. We might be the streakiest team in baseball. Started off with a 5-game losing streak to start our year, scoring 3 runs in our first 3 games, then 2 losses to the Pittsburgh Pirates before we finally win one, and then go on to sweep Minnesota, then get swept by Baltimore, then sweep Texas, then lose 2 out of 3 to the Angels, then win 2 out of 3 against San Diego. So this is going to be a wild ride this year. So buckle up, boys. Very middle of the road in both categories. Right now, our Pythagorean record says that we should be 14 and 11, so we're playing 2 underneath the Pythagorean. We're only a half game back, which is awesome. We're winning a lot against left-handed pitchers. We're losing a lot against right-handed pitchers, which is really weird considering we're such a lefty lineup. We've done really well at home, but not good on the road. Not too pleased with what's going on here. On-base percentage, we're top 5. Slugging percentage, not slugging that great. Runs scored, we're number 9. That needs to improve. Basically, we're not striking out. We're putting the ball in play. We're walking. We're getting on base. We're not hitting the long ball. We're not hitting doubles. And we're doing terribly on the bases. Pitching-wise is a different story. We have the 3rd best starting pitching staff. We have the 5th best bullpen for the 4th best staff overall. We're not allowing a lot of runs. We're not doing great in terms of wins above replacement. We're doing great in terms of limiting opponents, but we're prone to giving up a little bit of the long ball, and we're not striking out a lot. Defense is looking good, too, so I don't know what's 100% the problem. Looking at pitching and hitting and waiting for this to load real quick. Looking at pitching-wise, Andres Munoz has come back and said, I'm going to do the darn thing. Brian Woo's been good. Bryce Miller's been good. Felix Bautista's been good. It's a lot of good, and then you have Mason Miller, Aaron Ashby, Spencer Schwallenbeck, and Jeremiah Estrada, who have all regressed. So just like last year, Andres Munoz is going into the closer role, and Mason Miller is going into the setup or closer role. I think that's just going to be the easiest way to change it. Overall, Aaron Ashby has been kind of struggling this year. He might be a guy that we try to flip. Nathan Lavender's been good in his role. Keegan Akin's been good in his role. We're all doing good except really Nathan Lavender, Spencer Schwallenbeck, and Aaron Ashby. Other than that, and Mason Miller struggled, but Mason Miller will turn it around. So it's just a matter of time. This is too small of a sample size to make any massive changes. We're going to kind of leave it as is right now. However, we are about to call up Cole Reagans. So I am going to play around with the trade of Aaron Ashby just to see. To make a trade to make room for Cole Reagans. We are trading away the contract of Aaron Ashby with DeVry Ventura and Aiden Butler. DeVry is just blocked at the major leagues. He's not a guy who excels anywhere defensively. He is a great bat and has been doing really good to start this year in AAA. Struggled last year at AAA, but there's nowhere to put him. And we also are trading away this Aiden Butler guy. Hasn't really found a way to put it together. I also don't like finesse style pitchers. So we are trading him for Zach Levinson, which is kind of a 1-for-1 swap between Zach and DeVry. And then Curtis Mead, who I think could potentially be eventually a person to come up for Vinny Pasquantino, especially as a right-handed bat. So I just think that this is an interesting trade. Our assistant GM thinks to like it as well. I think it's mutually beneficial, so we're just going to go ahead and complete it. We are also going to just put him in AAA for now. Oh, we have to clear waivers, so we will waive him for now. And let's see, where did it shove our guy? Did it shove him in AAA? Yeah, it shoved Zach Levinson in AAA. We are not going to start him out there, even though he is 25 years old. We're going to put him in AA. We're going to let him finish out at least one more month in AA. He kind of killed single A, but he still needs a little bit more seasoning, and also with Lazaro Montez already being there, and apparently killing it as well, we need to make sure that he's getting playing time every single day, which in AA he will get versus not get. Oh no, wait, where is... I only see Tyler Holton. Where is Cole Reagans? Cole Reagans is on an oblique strain. Absolutely love it. So Tyler Holton is coming up. Oh, all of that just for Tyler Holton to be the guy that we call up. We're going to throw him in middle relief. Him and AJ Minter are both good from both sides of the ball. Let's just hope that he kind of goes back to being his old self. We needed to get rid of that contract, so it's not necessarily the worst thing in the world, but it's interesting. We're in an interesting place of this playthrough. It's about to go way uphill or way downhill, and I don't know which way it's going to go, but I hope to God it is way uphill. So Curtis Mead was able to clear waivers. That's fine. I'm starting not to like the Cole Reagans trade. Looking at it, he's been hurt. He hasn't been pitching great. And this Marcelo Perez guy actually might be the guy that we end up taking. I don't like that he's outspoken, but he is absolutely shoving in a notoriously difficult league of the Pacific Coast League. So he may be called up sooner rather than later. So we sent down Tyler Holton. He was just kind of the weakest link right now. He's a guy who we're going to try and trade out of his contract eventually. We have called up Cole Reagans. He's going to take, and I think this might actually help us. I think we're going to go to a 6-man rotation. He pitched 4 days ago. With the way that we kind of have fragile guys here and there, I just think it makes a lot of sense to let him come in and get used to where he's at in the lineup, and let all these guys go kind of into games, and then let the rest of our bullpen do their jobs. So yeah, we called up Cole Reagans. We should be good to go now. We should be firing on all cylinders. Hopefully at the end of the month of May, we're saying more of the same thing. Have I mentioned green is my favorite color? It's the color of money. It's the color of winds. It's the color of grass. It's the color of nature. It is the most natural looking color that there has ever been. And May had a lot of green. We started off with 2 losses out of the gate, and the entire month I see 1, 2, 3, 4 more losses, including a couple of good rival wins here. A really good sweep of the Washington Nationals. Like, this month was a lot better. We went 21-7, completely turned this entire season around in the place of about 2 weeks. Pythagorean, we're playing right on Pythagorean. We are winning. We've won 20 out of our 23 games at home, and we still have a upsetting road win-loss record. But overall, batting, we're kind of getting back to where we normally were. There's a lots of... We're not striking out, we're walking. That's a great combination to have. We're not hitting home runs, which is a little bit upsetting. We are getting not as many hits. 9th in the AL for runs scored. So I'd say we're about a 7th, 8th, or 9th place offense. That's fine. But we have the best pitching staff in baseball. We are absolutely not giving up free base runners. Even though we're not striking people out, we have the best defense in baseball, and we have a great zone rating. So looking at it, we just got guys who shove. As I talked about in our last little bit, we're going to a 6-man rotation just because we have the bullpen depth to be able to let these guys go. I think it's also going to help guys like Brian Wu and Zach Gallen, Cole Reagans, Cade Horton, and Spencer Schwellenbach go through and stay healthy just because they're not having to pitch as many innings. Andreas Munoz, in 16 innings pitched, has not given up a single run. Earned run, excuse me. So, has only given up 6 hits. That's insane. Over on the batting side, Rafael Devers and Cal Riley are carrying it. Cole Young looks to be poised to have his breakout season. Ben Williamson, Tavian Josenberger, Masahiro Tanaka, a couple of guys who we thought were going to be guys for us need to start picking it up soon. Vinny Pasquantino, yikes. So it looks like to me, Masataka Yoshida might be getting traded here sooner rather than later. This is just my initial thought here on June 1st. Number one, Masataka Yoshida is going to get traded. Vinny Pasquantino needs to pick it up. We might be looking to get a third baseman and move Vinny Pasquantino to just a pure DH role, or let Cal Riley go into a pure DH role because he's absolutely killing it, and just give him more chances to bat and bring in an extra backup catcher, which we do have, to let Harry Ford take over the reins full-time at catcher. Cole Young is going to be an everyday starter because he's already proven that he's belongs there. Kyle Tucker's going to be good. Julio Rodriguez is going to be good. And maybe Alec Burleson will just end up out in left field just because he's adequate at left field. So we'll just have to see. But I think it's time to move on from Masataka Yoshida. I think it's time to look at potentially picking up a more permanent, a more temporary shortstop to fill in, and let Alec Burleson take over left field with Tavian Josenberg being the defensive wizard. Yeah, he needs to get out of left field. Okay, that pretty much does it. So there needs to be a little bit more offense to be picked up here. Wouldn't mind getting a home run hitter, but I actually think that's going to be where I leave this episode. I know traditionally the first episode of the year I get all the way to the draft, but I want to try and change it up just a little bit, give me a little bit more time to make some more decisions. So the next episode will have All-Star Game and draft, and I'm going to take a lot longer on the draft, but it's because I wanted to spend more time talking about the teams. So hopefully you guys like that change. If you do, let me know in the comments. If you don't, also let me know in the comments. I'm trying to feed engagement on these videos, and you guys seem to be loving that I'm doing something with the Seattle Mariners, a team, in my opinion, as a division rival fan of the Houston Astros, does not get enough love. I'm going to try and remember to link it in the video below, but there's a 4-hour documentary by Secret Base over the entire history of the Seattle Mariners, and they are immediately now my team that I root for second. I love the history of the Seattle Mariners. They're a team that shouldn't be around today, and they are. Absolutely, you guys need to go check it out. I hopefully will remember to link it in the video description below. If not, someone please comment if you've gotten this far. Yeah. Without further ado, I know I yap. This is my yapping session. I'll see you guys next time. Take care and thanks for watching.